What is up guys, my name is Ignas, welcome back to the channel. I've been recently looking for safer places to park my money into, and the dividend investing watchlist suggested that Tyson Foods is currently 12% undervalued. The company operates in the food industry and is world's second largest processor and marketer of chicken, beef and pork. On the year to date, the stock pretty much went sideways at $88 per share. In 1 year, it is up for a solid 16.35%, and they had decent growth in 5 years, going from $61.71 up 43.2%. Price to earnings is now at a reasonable 8.28, and they are paying an annual dividend, which now comes in at a yield of 2.08%. So to check into the company further, first we'll check into financials and fundamental ratios, then what analysts think the stock will be trading in 1 year, after that what Superinvestors and insiders are doing with the name, and lastly we'll take a look into the technicals of the price chart. I do hope that this will turn out to be a great pick, so let's start. First let's take revenue, and this is the history for the last 5 years. Back in 2016 they were bringing in $36 billion on the trailing 12 months, then in a year in 2017 that increased to $39.3 billion, 2018 was $40 billion, then in 2019 it again increased to $43 billion, 2020 finished just a bit lower at $42.8 billion, and recently revenues have been up, now $49.5 billion on the trailing 12 months. So the largest year-over-year quarterly increases were this year. One quarter was up for 24.5%, and now again the most recent one was up for 23.6%. So we can say that revenues have been consistently increasing for years, and especially accelerated in 2021. Hopefully they may continue on this path going further. Second metric is the price to earnings. So back in 2016, PE ratio was at 11.21. Then in 2017, price did increase, but there was a huge increase in earnings too. So price to earnings decreased to 9.77. We had the price bottoming in 2018. So price to earnings remained low at 9.64. Then the price surged in 2019. So price to earnings went up to 16.32. In 2020, it decreased to 11.3. And with the fourth quarter of 2021, where earnings went to over $10 per share, we saw price to earnings going back lower to 8.56. So the price to earnings did bottom in 2018 with a PE lower than 7, but the recent surge in price was justified, with earnings increasing consistently, and we got price to earnings at under 9, which we didn't see for the last 3 years, and the stock has been at these levels only back in 2018. Now let's check the shares outstanding. So back in 2016 it was at 0.37 billion, then with 2017 it decreased by a bit, still at 0.37. In 2018 we had it at 0.366 billion shares. It seems that there was a small increase in 2017 at 0.367 billion. Then in 2020 the number decreased to 365 million, and with the fourth quarter of 2021 the number of shares outstanding is at 365 million. So in 5 years Tyson Foods managed to decrease their number of shares outstanding by 8 million, which at the current price of $88 per share means that they bought back capital of around $704 million. That may not be a huge amount compared to companies worth hundreds of billions of dollars, but since we know that TSN is now worth 32 billion, that means that in 5 years they bought back around 2% of their company, which now does sound quite bullish to me. Now next step is to check on the dividends. I already did a separate video on it, you can check on that, the link is in the description below. But the main part I want to share is in my dividend investing watchlist. So here's the document in Google Sheets, and dividend yields of last 5 years are in. Out of this data we can extract that on average in 5 years the dividend yield was at 1.9%. So from first glance we can find that the worst time to buy in was back in 2017, where the dividend yield was at 1.11%, so 41.51% under the 5-year average, and the best time to get in was 2020, where we saw the yield peaking at 2.65%, 39.65% over the 5-year average yield. But currently Tyson Foods have a dividend yield of 2.12%, which is over the 5-year average for 11.72%. So not the best, but also really not the worst time to be buying in. Now if you would be interested in doing a similar analysis for yourself and adding tickers you are following into this watchlist, you are able to do just that by following the second link at the top of the description. Otherwise, feel free to add your stock picks in a comment below. So we did check on the history, but how about expectations? Here we have price target results out of of 11 analysts. They range from the lows of 87 to the highs of $115 per share. The average out of it is $100.91, and currently the stock is trading at $88.21. This means that for next year, on average, analysts expect that the stock will go up by 12.6%. Now let us also take another angle, and these are earnings expectations for next year from 12 analysts, where on average they predict that in 2023 Tyson Foods will bring $7.96 per share. If we assume that the price to earnings ratio remains the same, then on average for next year analysts predict that the share price should be going lower by 6.7%. So overall expectations have been undecisive. On earnings prediction the price should be going 7% lower, and on price expectations it should be going up by almost 13%. Now let's take a look into Superinvestor activity. So Tyson Foods is currently being held by two funds. One is Yachtman Asset Management, where they recently added 1.16% and are currently holding over 2.7 million shares, which makes up 2.14% of their portfolio. And then second fund is Market Asset Management, where they showed no activity in the stock recently and are now holding 376,000 shares, which takes 0.38% of the portfolio. So overall only two portfolios are holding, and then only one of them added more recently. Not quite bullish on it yet, but there is a larger concern here, and that is the insider activity. So in the last 6 months, insiders managed to make 0 buying transactions, on the other hand selling 18 times, totaling that at over $23 million. So overall what we found here is that insiders have only been selling, and half of the super investors are still holding, but not adding more into this position. Now the last part will be the technicals. So the stock peaked in February of 2022, going to $100.72 per share, but after that it has been continuously declining. On the 25th it was close to the 50-day moving average at $90.80, had a bounce to $96 in the beginning of March, but then in a few trading days tested the 50-day moving average again. Relative strength index was going under 50 there, and the 12-day moving average of the MACD was going under the 26th one. On 11th it reached the 100-day moving average, and we had the bottom on the 15th at $83 per share, relative strength index dropping to 42, with the largest gap between the lines of the MACD. Then it seems that we tested the 100-day MA on the 17th as a resistance, and we just now tested it again on the 29th. So it seems to be quite an interesting place to get in. Relative strength index is under 50, so the stock is not overbought, and we just had that crossover in the lines of the MACD. The only concern that I see is that we already had the 100-day moving average as a resistance, so if that is repeated now, the stock may be going even lower than it was recently. But I would be interested in starting at least a small position at these levels. Now that we do have all the information in, let's make a quick recap. Revenue has been consistently on the increase, and it's especially accelerated up in 2021. Price to earnings is almost the lowest it has been in 5 years, almost back to those lowest levels we had in 2018. In 5 years they bought back around 8 million shares, which is almost 2% of the company's market cap. Tyson Foods are consistently increasing on their dividend payout, and currently their dividend yield is 12% higher than its 5-year average. Some analysts are bullish but others not so much, as on average they are estimating for the price to go down for 6.7% up to 12.6%. Super investors are also not much bullish, as only 2 funds are holding the name, and unfortunately insiders in the last 6 months have only been selling. The share price is now testing the resistance of the 100-day moving average, but I think it could be compelling to start a small position, as the resistance may not hold. We just had a bullish crossover in the MACD lines, and the relative strength index is now under 50. So that was it. Make sure to support the channel and leave a thumbs up under the video. What do you think, is Tyson Foods worth adding into my portfolio? Share your stance on the name in a comment below. If you are interested in getting access to my dividend investing watchlist, then consider memberships. By becoming a member you will get access to Discord, where I share the watchlist and all the buys and sells exactly when I do them. This could be a great option to track my moves closely. Last week I did an analysis on another company, so if you would be interested in that, then click on a video that is currently on the screen. And that was it from my side. Thank you for watching, and I will be seeing y'all in the next one.